theme for my sermon this morning is practicing the peace of God. Practicing the peace of God. Peace be with you. Surely these are among the most powerful words in the Bible. Perhaps among the most powerful words ever spoken. Because stress is easy, right? We've shared some things this morning already that are stressful. Peace is more difficult. My father was a pacifist. He believed so passionately in peace that he put his body on the line. He sacrificed his freedom, his reputation and his career, the safety of his family even, in order to stand up for what he believed. He believed that Jesus Christ was calling him to stand for peace, and he refused to go to war. My dad, Ern Crane, was 24 when World War II began. He was newly married with his first teaching job. He heard the teaching of godly people, including my mother's father, for whom Christian faith meant and must mean integrity of conviction, living faith in every way, respecting every person, love for enemies, the Jesus way, which meant for them refusal to kill. My father joined the Christian pacifist movement, and when his name came up, he did not enlist. His first son was born, and this family went into hiding for 6 months. Then my father turned himself in, submitted his appeal for exemption, which was denied, and then he was arrested. He spent the rest of the war in detention camps, mostly freezing cold on the slopes of Mount Ruapehu. My father had a long and dynamic life. He was widowed, he married my mother, he taught in the islands because conscientious objectors were banned from teaching in New Zealand for many years. He lived long enough to meet Chris, my husband, and to see us married, but not long enough to see Chris join the New Zealand Army. I often wondered how he might have coped with having a military man in the family and his kids growing up as army braves. I used to say he'd be rolling in his grave if he had one. My husband, as a chaplain in the military, has trained to kill. He has carried a weapon, though I'm told that any situation in which a padre has to discharge a firearm is things have really turned to custard at that point. In himself, my husband is a strong, calming presence. Unlike my father, who, although he believed absolutely in peace, was not terribly good at creating it at home. I wonder what you hear by the words, peace be with you. What kind of peace is it that Jesus gives? If it is a gift, how do we receive it? If it is a promise, how do we live into it? I am not trained to be a peacekeeper, but I am trained to be a couple counsellor, a trauma therapist, and a minister of the gospel. A lot of my work is about helping people be aware of the stresses they experience, the things that distress them, and to find ways to de-stress. I'd like to share with you this morning some practical pointers for you today, because I suspect that in the church we are really good at talking about peace, but perhaps not quite so good at actually practicing peace. I mean, our society, our world, our workplaces, and sadly even our homes and our bodies are soaked in stress, worry and frustration often. It's all very well for Jesus to say, peace be with you, but we need to learn the skills of living this out every day. So let's look at the gospel story, and I have 4 insights about peace and stress that I'd like to draw out. First, Jesus joins the disciples where they are. The doors are locked. They are afraid. And Jesus comes to them. Peace is possible in every situation, even cancer. Peace is about the here and now, not just at the weekend or when you can get a holiday. I see people putting off relaxing, hoping for some better time to rest or to feel at peace. Maybe then, maybe later. We Christians tend to be quite hard workers. There are always things to be done for God or for our families or for the church or for the community, and until holy living looks quite a lot like just busy living. Come on, push through. Rest when you're dead. Jesus comes into our stressful situation and speaks of peace, here and now, even the worst of things. Peace is the capacity to be present, here and now. Living from an inner place of calm is the capacity to create, to think, to problem solve, to listen, to choose our actions. Skills that help us to keep calm include tools to bring us back to the present moment. Let's take a couple of minutes now to practice. Let's just notice for a minute. You've been in this room a few times now, but let's just look around us. Notice what is here around us. Can you see some of the colours in this room? Some of the patterns and textures? And can you turn your eyes inward? What do you see happening in your own heart? Can we listen? What are the sounds we can hear? Can we listen with the eyes of the heart for the creaks and the silent tensions within our bodies? Listen for your own breath. So this is my first point. Notice the now. We all feel frustration and loss for the past, and we all feel anxieties for the future. But Jesus meets us right now, in every moment. The next thing that Jesus does is to breathe on them. I'm curious, did he breathe on them all at once? Sort of a big kind of panning breath? Or I'm sure if it was in a Te Ao Māori context, it would have been a hongi for each one in turn. That pause to take each person by the hands, to press noses and foreheads, to pause for a couple of good long breaths in and out until breath intermingles and his life enters the body of each disciple. When our stress response is triggered, our brains and our bodies instantly change. You know the feeling. It's happened to you plenty of times. Blood rushes from our guts out into our limbs. You get that kind of, your gut sinks, doesn't it? It drops. Ready for action. Blood leaves the front clever parts of your brain and rushes to the back, the stem of your brain, the more animal instincts for survival. Your heart beats faster and you breathe fast and shallow, which is all excellent for dealing with a wild animal or a raid attack. It's not quite so helpful in dealing with your boss at work. In our everyday lives, we need to understand our stress response, to notice it, and also to know how to tell our stress response to stand down. It's okay, I'm not under attack. I've got this. And the first way we do this is by breath. Breathe in and out. When you notice your heart beating faster, breathe in. Let's try. Breathe in, and then in again, and then slowly all the way out. Almost a gasping breath. It's so good. Come on, let's practice this for 3 times. Come on. In, and a bit more, and then out. The quickest way to disrupt the stress response. It helps me to know that every breath I take is a sharing in the breath of Jesus. I can gasp it in, or I can just gently, slowly rest in his breath. He is with me. Whatever I find tough right now, Jesus is breathing me through it. So that's my second point. Kind of obvious, but breathe in and out all day long. My husband likes to say. It's a lovely way to hold that sense that I am with you. So then the story fast forwards a week. What does Jesus do the next Sunday? Well, he shows Thomas his scars. His words now are a command. Put your finger here and see my hands. Reach out your hand and put it in my side. Do not doubt, but believe. Oh gosh, poor Thomas. You've got to feel sorry for him a little bit. What a moment. But why? This is one of the great questions of Christian theology. Why did Jesus' resurrected body still carry the wounds of crucifixion? What place could there possibly be for scars in the resurrection? We long to be all healed, all made new, all shiny and whole and free from the wounds of the past. But Jesus' raised body carried the scars of crucifixion. This is key to how God transforms us and brings peace. Your nervous system carries within it the memory of every hurt, every anger, every fear that you've ever experienced. And some might say it carries what your parents experienced too in a kind of an echo sort of a way, But this is how we learn. And when we bump into new challenges, we react out of what we have learned, for good or ill. And so we leap to fight or flight. We argue, we retreat, we hide, we get upset, we can't think straight. It's all pre-programmed by your central nervous system. It doesn't involve your brain very much. It doesn't involve it's all mostly unconscious. How do we interrupt that? How do we find ways to relearn? Living the peace of Jesus Christ means touching his scars. It means hearing for ourselves, as he said to Thomas, do not doubt, but believe. For his scars are our scars. His wounds are our wounds. My first point was about meeting Jesus in the present, in this here and now. But now my invitation is to meet Jesus in the past, in your story, in the points of pain, in the places where you felt unsafe or hurt or abandoned. Here we say to Jesus, put your finger here and see my hands. We invite Jesus to see us and to heal us. Where Jesus enters a memory, he heals that memory. He closes open wounds with his touch. He restores peace to our nervous system. Where we have learned to fight or flee, Jesus gently teaches us to stay and look and listen and serve. So my third point is seek healing in the past. My fourth point about practicing the peace of God takes us to verse 21. Jesus said to them again, peace be with you. As the Father has sent me, so I send you. This is to me perhaps the most curious, most extraordinary verse in Scripture. Here's the thing, you see, every religion ever, anywhere, just promises inner peace. Any understanding of spirituality seeks the experience of balancing out life's demands with inner calm. Do this practice, follow these rules, buy this book, or come live with us and we'll take care of all your problems and all your money, and you will be at peace. And sure, stepping away from problems into a place of stillness does work. It's good for you, highly recommended, but it is not enough. None of the other religions and spiritual practices offer what Jesus offers in John 20, verse 21. This is radically different. Peace be with you. As the Father has sent me, so I send you. When I read this, I'm like, hang on a minute, Jesus. Let's just let us sit and rest and feel your peace for a bit. Like, surely you've heard that. It's been a bit of a tumultuous few weeks. Sending them out so suddenly feels totally scary, totally demanding. Can't we just be at peace for a bit? Except it isn't scary and demanding. The sending of Jesus is not scary. It's not demanding. It is peace in action. Not retreat from the world, not hiding behind locked doors, but peace anywhere, everywhere, in anything. If I was to sum up the Christian faith with a mathematical formula, it would be this. Following Jesus equals radical surrendered missional living plus peace. Faith equals action plus peace. It all hinges on the word as. As the Father sent me, so I send you. All the riches of Christian calling and ethics and discipleship and mission are contained in this tiny word, as. Because all that Jesus experienced and knew, he shares with us. As he knew himself utterly loved by God, so may we. As he knew the Spirit's power flowing in every moment, so may we. As he suffered and died and rose again, so may we. As his life reaches forward through time to the end of this age and beyond into the new heaven and the new earth, so may we. As a tool for practicing the peace of God, this word "as" is unbeatable. As the Father has sent me, so I send you. In this reality, this Jesus reality, our fears for the future rearrange themselves. As you know, I work in the space of climate change, and everyone in that space is deeply, deeply afraid of what the coming decades will bring. Fear is not optional. My only hope is to live so grounded in the "as" of John 20:21 that the peace of God continues every day to be my living reality, even in my sentness, because I am sent into this space by Jesus, who was sent into all space by his Father. For my dad, that meant suffering condemnation and rejection for his pacifist conviction. For my husband, this means being a person of peace in the New Zealand Defence Force as they prepare for climate disasters and conflict. What does it mean for you to practice the peace of God where you are, in your home, in your work? How might you carry the peace of God around with you in your body, in your scars, in every breath you breathe? I've made 4 points this morning about practicing the peace of God, reflecting on John 20. First, Jesus joined them where they were. Jesus calls us into the present moment to pay attention here and now. Staying present is a key to being a person of peace. Second, Jesus breathed on them. I suggest that one way to carry with us a lived experience of Christ with us is to know his breath in our breath. Breathe in and out. More fully, more slowly. This is the key to being a person of peace. Third, Jesus showed them his wounds. I talked about how our reactions are triggered by our own wounds and how we can meet Jesus in our own memories to bring healing. This is another key to being a person of peace. And finally, Jesus sends them out as he himself was sent. Faith equals action plus peace. This transforms how we live and even how we can live with our fears for the future. In the past, in the future, in the present, in every breath we take, Jesus Christ is alive. Jesus Christ is with us and Jesus Christ is Lord. His gift to us is peace and his calling to us is peace. Not a retreat from the world, but sent into the world as a gift